Hey everybody, ABC 10 meteorologist Brendan Minchef here with a Friday morning Hurricane Hilary update. We'll start with a look at satellite here. And again, we've got a very well-defined hurricane right now, very healthy looking hurricane, a major hurricane, currently category 4 off the coast of Mexico. We'll zoom in and we get a nice view of that eye at this point. And something else that we're starting to see develop here, if you look with me right there, you kind of see that opening, that gap in the clouds, starting to see signs of potentially a secondary eye wall developing. This is a sign of a very strong hurricane. This is only about 10 mile per hour winds away from becoming a category 5 storm. Don't expect it to get there, but just to give you an idea of what we're looking at, this is a strong hurricane right now off the coast of Mexico. So here's where we stand this morning, category 4 status, and it is expected to stay there for about the next roughly 12 to 24 hours before it moves into much cooler ocean temperatures, and it will not be able to sustain the strength that it is currently at. Impacts for Southern California. Very, very likely that we see a tropical storm move into Southern California. This is especially true for San Diego and the inland deserts of Southern California, where we're going to see wind, we're going to see rain, and we're very likely going to see flooding as well. The flooding aspect will very likely happen in the deserts, although some of the mountains and then also parts of San Diego could see some of those impacts as well. Here in Northern California, it'll be a post-tropical storm. At this point, it'll really just be whatever's left, the remnants of Hurricane Hilary. The exact details still a bit uncertain because of how far out it is. Now, if we look at sea surface temperatures off the coast of Mexico right now, it is an 86-degree Fahrenheit water as a category 4 storm. And so over the next really 12 to 24 hours, you're going to see there, that's about how much time it's got left to either strengthen or stay where it's at in terms of category. Once it moves into those other shades, those oranges, those yellows, certainly those greens, that is much, much cooler water, closer to about 70 degrees Fahrenheit. Hurricanes need water temperatures, these sea surface temperatures, of at least 80 degrees to sustain strength and or grow in strength. And so again, as soon as it gets past about that, that's about all it's got left to go. And then it's going to start to weaken once it gets a little closer to California. So that's sea surface temperatures. Here's what the storm looks like right now. And again, this is a strong hurricane, 145 mile per hour sustained winds moving off to the west-northwest at about 15 miles per hour. Central pressure, 942 millibars. And we do have some new watches and warnings to talk about, both tropical storm and hurricane. But first, we'll start with the path of the storm. So looking at the cone, we're going to run it out, and you see that it will start to turn and weaken once it moves into that cooler ocean temperatures, really over the next, again, 12 to 24 hours. So down to category 2 strength just off the coast of Baja at this point. This is Sunday morning, 100 mile per hour sustained winds. We also notice we got a hurricane warning out for parts of Baja, tropical storm warning out, as well as some watches, both hurricane and tropical storm watches. Now, as it approaches San Diego, it's going to lose intensity again, borderline category 1, but likely tropical storm strength at this point. And you can see that yellow shading here for parts of Southern California. This includes San Diego. That is a tropical storm watch. The National Hurricane Center in Miami says this is the first time they have ever issued a tropical storm watch for this part of the United States. Again, that is off the coast of San Diego and a little further north into Southern California as well. As we kind of zoom out, run the cone out a little further, you can see that it's going to move up and then dissipate by the time it gets into Northern California. So it'll just be the remnants, again, of whatever is left of what was once Hurricane Hilary. This will be Monday into Tuesday that we will start to see those impacts in Northern California. But before we get there, we're going to zoom in a little bit. San Diego, Oceanside, Irvine, San Clemente, not quite Los Angeles, but this part of the United States right here in tropical storm watches. Again, for the first time ever is San Diego in a tropical storm watch. Now, a tropical storm has not impacted San Diego since 1939 as a tropical storm. Of course, we've had remnants, and we had K move through last year, but as an actual as an actual tropical storm, again, has not impacted San Diego since 1939. So it has been quite some time. As we talk about impacts here in Northern California, we are not going to see Category 1. We're not going to see tropical storm strength It is going to be, again, whatever's left is just going to be the remnant. So here's what I do expect us to see. Humidity. I am very confident in this part that we will see high humidity. It'll likely be feeling very tropical here in Northern California, very sticky because we've got all this moisture. Even as it dissipates, it doesn't just disappear. It takes time for it to mix out into the atmosphere and back into the weather pattern. So that humidity is going to be with us, regardless of whether we see any wind, regardless of whether we see any rain. It's going to feel sticky out there. Now, talking about those rain chances, I give it a 20 to about 50% chance of rain in Northern California. It's pretty dependent on the track, but based on the latest data, as this thing starts to dissolve and kind of starts to fall apart, I do actually expect that we will see some stuff here in Northern California. Exactly how much that is still kind of up in the air, if you will, no pun intended. Wind, we're not going to really see any real wind impacts here. It'll be breezy as these remnants kind of pass us by, but it'll be far from a tropical storm at this point. Maybe we get some gustier winds with some thunderstorms that move through, again, just as part of the remnants there. But in terms of actually seeing Category 1 strength, in terms of seeing tropical storm strength, it's not going to happen. It is just going to be remnants at this point. And that'll be Monday, Tuesday, by the time it gets up here to Northern California. So here's FUTURECAST. Strong high pressure sitting over the middle part of the United States. And then we got this low pressure just off the coast. And so the flow is going to bring this storm right up into Southern California and then push it off in towards western Nevada and then parts of the eastern Sierra as well. That's what the current track looks like. We just looked at that. So we run FUTURECAST out to about Sunday evening now, and that tropical storm, it'll not be a hurricane anymore, but tropical storm Hilary near San Diego at this point. It'll likely make landfall in Mexico and not actually make landfall in San Diego. But again, just a few hundred miles here. 100 miles could make a complete difference there. I want to stress, though, if you have family in San Diego, if you have friends in San Diego, in Southern California as a whole, really even in towards the deserts, into the mountains, look, it doesn't matter if it's a tropical storm or a Category 1. The impacts are going to be exactly the same. The difference between those two is really just semantics. The winds are going to be sustained maybe 40, 50 miles per hour in Southern California. We're going to get a lot of rain as well, certainly in the mountains, and then certainly in the deserts as well. We'll talk rainfall amounts down there in just a second here. But I want to stress that it doesn't matter what the category is. You see tropical storm, who cares, right? No, still important to take it seriously. This is going to be a lot of rain. It's very similar to an atmospheric river event in a lot of ways, where we're going to get the wind, we're going to get the rain with that as well. So it's important to take some of those similar precautions that you would take if we are getting an atmospheric river event. So if you have friends, family down in Southern California, especially the San Diego area, especially in the deserts, just let them know, hey, this is headed your way. Make sure you're paying attention to the weather. Start taking some preparations now. We're going to run it now Sunday, Monday into Tuesday, and then the remnants, again, of whatever's left is going to be pretty spread out at this point. The winds, it'll be breezy, but it's not going to be, the strong tropical storm hurricane force gusts at this point in Northern California. But you do see, even though it's not well organized, we do have some rain on this American model, the GFS, some rain all the way from Nevada out to the coast as well, and stretching all up and down really the west coast. We could see even some rain trying to push off in towards areas like Idaho and Montana and the state of Washington, because this is a lot of moisture that's going to be forced right up onto the west coast for the first few days of the week. Now, here's some model rainfall totals. This is the GFS, the same model that we just saw in FUTURECAST there. This is the American model, one of the two big global models that we use. Look at all the rain down in Southern California that'll be dropping. This is 6 to 10 inches potentially for some of the mountains, and some of the deserts areas could see about 7 inches of rain or so. Even parts that aren't in that tropical storm watch, right? LA, the mountains of LA, down near Bakersfield as well. We're going to see a lot of rain out of this event. So take it seriously, right? This is a real deal rain event. I know a lot of times, I've read some of the comments on the previous update we did. It's like, well, it seems these always kind of just, dissolve or go away by the time it gets to California. If there was ever a storm to take very seriously about approaching California, a tropical storm, it would be this one, because all signs point to this holding together. All signs point to this being a big rainmaker and even a wind event down in Southern California. So it's important to take it seriously. In Northern California, though, you can say we even get close to ½ an inch of rain in Sacramento, according to this model. I'll just go ahead and spoil kind of the ending of this video here. The average amount of rainfall for August in Sacramento is 0.02 of an inch. This would be way, way above that. But here's why the rainfall forecast is a little difficult. This is the European model now. This is the other major model that we use to look at weather patterns and rainfall, snowfall, things like that. You can see the rainfall is much more focused into Nevada. It's much more focused in Southern California, and not as much makes it over the Sierra into the valley. So in this situation, we're talking about maybe 1/10 of an inch or less. And so we have a wide range of potential rainfall totals here. And that's what's making that forecast for Northern California a little difficult right now, because it still depends on a lot of things like the track of the storm, how well it holds together, whether it goes in way east or whether it kind of stays right in this area here. We'll know all these things better as we get closer, less time for things to change, less time for those weather models to change as well, and they'll get that better picture as it gets closer to shore. We also have some hurricane hunters going out there today. That data will give us a much better picture as well. But we haven't used this graphic since, I want to say, maybe February. The excessive rainfall outlook, this is the chances of flash flooding. Look at this, level 4, that high risk down on the east side of the mountains in Southern California. First time that they've ever had a high risk since 2010. That's when the records go back to, then they actually started issuing these. But first time that they've ever had a high risk on the east side of the mountains in Southern California. So this goes to show you at this point, right? First time we've ever had tropical storm watches for San Diego. First time that we've had a high risk excessive rainfall down on the east side of the mountains. So important to take this seriously. Again, flooding is going to be a concern. Now, I talked a minute ago about the average amount of rainfall downtown Sacramento in August. It's only 0.02 of an inch. So that is hardly anything at all. If we get the perfect setup here with this storm, we could easily see 1/4 of an inch up to about 1/2 an inch of rain. I think our ballpark is very likely around 1/4 of an inch of rain here in Sacramento and across much of the valley as things stand right now. But it's important to stay tuned because things can and do change. So if you want to stay updated, ABC 10 Plus, it's a free app. You can download on Apple TV, Roku, Fire TV. If you're watching on ABC 10 Plus, shout out to you. You're the OG. But yeah, weather playlist, in-depth forecast, weather specials, and of course, these latest forecasts on Hurricane Hilary. You can find it all on that ABC 10 Plus app. Thanks so much for watching. We'll be back again with another update very shortly later on today. And I will see you back here tomorrow with another update on Hurricane Hilary as well as it approaches California.